If you had to spend a whole month on an island with either Jim Carrey or Mariah Carey, who would you pick?
Well, that depends. Would Mariah Carey still have her vocal cords?
What if I have anything to do with it?
Hello and welcome once again to the Darkened Room of Music Conversation. Tonight we're going to talk about underrated and underappreciated albums. I'm Chris.
And I'm Darren, and this is a fun little conversation we were having, and we were like, why not turn it into a show?
Yeah.
So everybody has their favorite albums. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows popular groups that have, an album here or there that maybe didn't do as well, or it's not perceived as the group's best album, but for whatever reason you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm infamous for really liking whatever album is like the black sheep in the artist catalog. That's usually my favorite album.
Yeah.
I will admit that up front. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit different. So we're going to take a look at some albums today that, like you said, looking back in the scope of their history, is either not appreciated enough, in my opinion, or not accepted as, maybe their best work, but I love it anyway.
Sometimes flat out disregarded.
Sometimes disregarded.
Yeah.
Very true. So that's kind of the loose criteria. We haven't seen each other's list. We're just going to go for it and just have a little discussion about it. So
yeah, I like it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 albums
that
I think fit this the mold of this discussion, and then we'll discuss them a little bit. Feel free to stop me at any point and inject anything you want, and then we'll go to your choices.
Sounds good. I like that.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. So, and this is kind of in an order, I guess you could say. As it gets closer to the top, it's more relevant in the scope of this discussion for me, anyway.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to start off with my number 5. An album that came out in 1986, and a lot of these albums are going to be older albums because so much time has passed now, so I can see things a little bit more clearly for a discussion like this. I'm going to go with an album that sold very well in 1986, but I think even looking back, a lot of people that love this band don't mention this in the vein of their best albums.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it at the time, and I have a really good appreciation for it now. I'm talking about Journey and Raised on Radio.
Oh, yeah. That's a great choice, man.
Yeah, because, if you think about when that came out in 86, there was turmoil within the band. They were kicking a couple of members out. Ross Valerie, the original bass player, as well as Steve Smith, the drummer.
Yeah.
There were issues there. I kind of looked at it at the time, and I think that this is kind of relevant now. It's kind of a souped-up Steve Perry solo album.
It kind of is, yeah.
Steve was very much in control at this point, and he had come off the success of, Street Talk. So the album kind of has that kind of direction more than the hard rock, almost metal influence of like the stuff on Escape and Departure and stuff like that. So
Raised on Radio was definitely smooth around the edges.
It really was more of an R&B type album.
Yeah, very much.
And they brought in Randy Jackson, who, ironically enough, is back in the band as the bass player. Of course, everybody knows Randy from American Idol and all that.
That's right, yeah.
Tremendous musician. But that kind of brought a different flavor, too, more of the R&B kind of bass lines and stuff like that. So, looking back, I mean, everybody knows the hits, like The Girl Can't Help It. I love that song.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, I'll Be All Right Without You. It was a big song, Suzanne. But I think the album as a whole really works for what it is.
Yeah, I had the cassette when it was out, so I listened to it front to back quite a bit, and I actually liked it.
Yeah. But it definitely is a little different if you listen to the stuff leading up to that album.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they regrouped in 96 with Trial by Fire, you can tell they went right back to the rock heavier type approach, you know?
Yep.
So I think even they kind of questioned it in retrospect, like, was this the best direction or whatever?
Yeah.
But I love it, and I listen to it now and think that it still holds up well.
Very cool, yeah. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is one that you're probably not familiar with, but I can't do a list like this without naming this. So Glenn Campbell, Bloodline. So quickly, I'll just say this came. It was the next album after Rhinestone Cowboy, where he had kind of reestablished himself as a megastar, had kind of crossed over into the pop area as well as country.
Yeah.
And so the next record was highly anticipated. Didn't do nearly as well, but I think the album it's my favorite album by him in the 70s as far as his solo albums go.
Oh, cool.
So I just love it. The song, definitely will include this on the Spotify playlist. There's the title track, Bloodline. I call it the Bohemian Rhapsody of country. It's a very technical song.
Now you've piqued my interest.
Yeah, very... it's a very elaborate song with different kind of movements and parts, and it's just a genius song. So that would be my next choice. If you've never heard that song or that album, it's really, really great.
Yeah, cool.
So that's my next choice. All right, my number 3 on this list is actually a group that I love them. I know that one of their albums made your all-time favorite albums list.
Oh, yeah?
And this is an album that came out in 1993. And unfortunately, I think the timing was bad at that point for this album to do a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
But it's Tears for Fears and the album Elemental. And remember, this is
That's a great one.
Yeah. This is a point where Kurt Smith had departed. Longtime member, of course, after Sowing the Seeds of Love. We're talking like 5 years later, 4 years later that this came out. Once again, the timing was kind of bad. I think had they had a follow-up closer to Sowing the Seeds of Love, it probably would have done pretty good.
Yeah.
But so Roland was completely in control here. It's kind of got more of an electronic vibe at times, a lot of spacey keyboards and stuff. But some really, really great songs on that album. Break It Down Again is such a wonderful song if you get a chance to hear that one. And so looking back, I don't think it's thought that highly of by their fans, mainly because Kurt's not involved in it.
Interesting.
The purists. And I have met a lot of people that do love the album.
Yeah.
I think it's a masterpiece.
I do too. As a Tears for Fears fan, and they're one of their albums making my top list.
Yeah.
I actually like all the songs on there better than the song Sowing the Seeds of Love.
Me too.
That one just didn't hit me that hard.
Yeah, I agree. Sowing the Seeds of Love, it's hard to question their timing making an album like that. It seemed to do really well in 1989.
Yeah.
The video got massive airplay. I think the song was a pretty huge hit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't warm up to that album like I did a lot of their other ones.
Yeah. I mean, it had great moments on it, but just not as strong, for sure.
And so when Elemental came out, for me, it was more of a return to form. Even though it was kind of different, I still thought the songs and the song structures were much better for me, for my taste.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. So the next one, this one's going to be this will probably catch some people off guard here. This album came out in 1982, produced by my buddy Neil Kernan. And there was a few years there where Kansas changed their lineup. Steve Walsh had bolted and was doing another project, a band called Streets. And ironically enough, Neil produced them too.
Yeah.
But he also produced the Kansas album that came out in 1982 called Drastic Measures. And this was the one with Fight Fire with Fire.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I really like the album a whole lot. I think the more I heard it, the more I really, really grew to love it. And it's it's more of an AOR type, real glossy production, and all that. Which you listen to it now and you may say it sounds dated. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But the songs are really strong. The vocals are great. And, I think it's probably, for the most part, for diehard Kansas fans, it's probably at the bottom of the barrel in their perception of how they view the album. And I think the band themselves, the members are like, we probably need to change. And not long after that, they bring Steve Walsh back. The Elefantes, who were in Kansas, and that lineup had left and went back to doing Christian music. So, but if you listen to the song now, there's some really great songs on there. There's one called Andy I really like. Incident on a Bridge. There's a lot of really cool songs. Mainstream, Everybody's My Friend. I mean, the songs are just endless, and they're very poppy and catchy, and more concise as far as Kansas is concerned. Their earlier stuff had big, long movements and stuff like this. So this is a more mainstream, pardon the pun, like the name of one of the songs, but more, they're just trying to hit the bullseye pop rock.
Yeah.
So
it's funny how so many 70s bands tried doing that in the 80s. Genesis, one of them.
Yeah.
So,
it happened a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yes, with Honor of a Lonely Heart.
Yes.
Yes. So I agree.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally, my last official choice is, and then at the very end of this, I do want to go back and forth with a few honorable mentions.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So,
absolutely.
All right, so my last official pick, my number one, so to speak, is an album that is, some of their fans really, really hold this album in high regard. I love it. It was the worst selling album for many, many years for this band in their discography. I'm talking about Rush and Caress of Steel.
Ah, okay.
That album, they had actually tried to do a concept record. It was a concept record.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, a lot of stuff was botched about it. They had tried to do a stainless steel album cover. And when they took it to press to print it off, it came off like this weird off gold color. And it was kind of an omen of things to come.
Yeah.
The album just didn't sell. I remember Alex Lifeson, they were touring with Kiss at the time. He said he sat Paul Stanley down and played it for him, and he's like, I could just tell he just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of an early attempt at kind of a 2112. The concept's totally different. But, longer pieces and stuff. And the label was really aggravated with them and wanted them to go back to their more straightforward Black Sabbath meets Led Zeppelin approach. And they said, screw you. And they had artistic control. And then they did 2112. And everybody knows what happened after that.
Oh, yeah.
But Caress of Steel has some really great moments. And in retrospect, I think it kind of makes sense where it is in their catalog, coming on the heels of Fly By Night going into 2112. It makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the album's great.
Like those Pink Floyd albums leading up to Dark Side of the Moon. Same kind of thing.
Exactly right. So that's the first five that I came up with. And I know they're more all, they're older albums, older groups and stuff like that. But I felt like for a discussion like this, I needed to... so much time has passed, but since these were released, and I can look at it with a lot more perspective. So these were the best choices that I have. When we go over our honorable mentions, there's a few things that's a little more modern that I have in there.
Yeah, very cool. So, well, I'm going to take you into the 80s and 90s with my list.
Okay,
so I'm going to get started on that now.
All right.
So I'm going to start out in 1985.
All right.
My first two here are actually albums that the fans don't care too much for.
Gotcha.
Even though they were mega sellers. So 1985, Afterburner by ZZ Top.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a great choice.
Isn't it, though?
That is a great choice.
So ZZ Top went into a more electronic sounding, still kind of hanging on to some of their guitar roots, but it was very, very glossy. Now, I had this cassette as a teenager, and I loved it. I loved every song on it.
I agree. I still like it. For what it is, I still like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like all eras of ZZ Top.
Yeah. Sleeping Bag was a big hit for them. That was actually all over, especially rock radio.
Yeah.
I loved Rough Boy.
Yeah, me too. That may be my favorite one on there.
Yeah.
I just love the melody.
I think it is mine, too.
Yeah. And it's totally different than anything they ever did.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Rough Boy, probably my favorite, but it kind of competes with Stages. I think
Stages is great.
Is a great song. That sounds more like the Eliminator stuff.
It does.
And then Velcro Fly was kind of silly, but it was a single too.
Yeah,
there was a video for it.
And I love it. It's more electronic sounding. There's actually a 12-inch remix of that I absolutely adore.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, if you get a chance, check that out.
And of course, there was one deep cut on there that, as a teenager, I thought was hilarious. It's called "Woke Up with Wood."
Yeah. Boing. Yeah.
Right after this, an album or two later, they decided to go back to their original sound.
Yeah.
Because the fans, their hardcore fans, complained so much.
Yeah, and you're talking by then it was getting into the 90s, so it kind of made sense.
It did.
And a song like Sleeping Bag, it was the production of that with the keyboard sound and stuff. It's almost like Art of Noise produced a ZZ Top song.
Yeah, it was very much like that. Yeah. Of course, they had the fake drums on there. Yeah. One great moment on that next album was Double Back from the Back to the Future soundtrack. Yeah. And it kind of bridged that album from Afterburner.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then they did that My Head's in Mississippi, and I don't want to put down a band for what the choices they make.
Especially a great band.
But my God, did they just cut and paste which song was it? LaGrange.
Yeah.
So at the time I was real critical of them.
Right.
I don't hate it so much now.
Right.
Anyway,
and the band is great.
Yeah.
ZZ Top is an amazing band.
Excellent band.
Yes.
Yeah. If Afterburner was released by another band, it probably would have gotten way more respect than it does today.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't thought of it like that, but I would say you're right.
All right. All right, so I'm going to go on to 1987.
Okay.
Now, this is one that fans of this artist probably rank this as their least favorite album.
Okay.
Even though it did exceptionally well, sold well, but it had a different kind of glossy sound.
Yeah.
It was Tunnel of Love by Bruce Springsteen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of fans say that that's their least favorite Bruce moment.
Yeah, and I can see why in a lot of ways.
As a fan, I can see, absolutely, but it's my favorite by him. So
yeah, that song is incredible.
Yeah, Tunnel of Love, And One Step Up is, I mean, there's so many beautiful moments on this album. Brilliant Disguise, but you go deeper into it, like, it's some of his best songwriting.
Yeah.
His lyrical songwriting.
Especially in the context of more pop-oriented songs.
Exactly right, yeah. So I'm going to move on now to a kind of a different subcategory of this whole thing. This is follow-up albums to artists' debut album that exploded and was just like a mega hit.
Okay, so everybody's anticipating the next release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, in retrospect, you think back to this artist and it's like you don't even remember they released a second album.
Okay.
It's like it's completely disregarded now.
Yeah.
So 1990, Time's Up, Living Color.
Wow. That's a great choice.
Yeah.
And a great album.
Oh, God, yeah. That's another one I listened to beginning to end when it came out.
Do you like it better than Vivid?
I almost do.
I do.
Yeah, I almost do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that opening track, Time's Up. I mean, it's just a thrashy, punky. Oh, God, it's so good.
And we saw them at Vanderbilt, right?
We did. We saw them on this tour, right?
Yeah, we sure did.
They were fantastic live, and it made me
really
appreciate them even more.
Yeah.
But Type was the first single. The lead-off single is a fantastic song.
Riff gets stuck in your head for days.
Yeah. And they released Elvis is Dead, which was kind of a funny, goofy song, but it was good.
Love Rears Its Ugly Head.
Yeah, that was a great... Yep, we're going to bring that one up, too. Yeah, that one was funny.
I'm sorry.
And a beautiful moment on the album was The Solace of You. That's a very, tropical guitar kind of sounding song.
Very clean guitar sound.
Very clean, but it's a great moment. Yeah. So there you go. Okay, the next one in this category is from 1987.
Okay.
First album by these guys. Blew up huge, had 3 huge singles off of it, especially the one, Broken Wings. But in 1987, they released the album Go On.
That's a great choice, man.
No one even remembers.
A great choice.
No one remembers they released this album.
Yeah, and it's fantastic.
Oh my God. As a whole, listening to beginning to end, this is a better album than Welcome to the Real World. I think it is. That's my opinion.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it is very, very good.
Yeah,
I mean, I love every second of it. The only song I kind of didn't like, and I hate to bring up anything negative, I didn't like that song about Let's Stay Home and Watch the Tube or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the weakest moment on the album. Yeah. But Something Real, Inside Me, Inside You had a video to it.
Single, yep.
It was a semi-hit.
Yeah.
And then the album just kind of drifted off into music history oblivion.
Yeah. Stand and Deliver is a great
was from that movie with Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of a recognizable song because it was used in the movie.
And it sounds like them.
Oh, totally does. Yeah. But one of my favorite moments, two of my favorite moments, Healing Waters is a fantastic song.
Yeah, it's the third song.
And Watching the World as well.
Yep, Watching the World's good.
Yeah, there's some awesome moments on this album. If you haven't heard it, you gotta hear it.
Yeah, I agree, man. That is an excellent choice.
Yeah, very cool.
An excellent choice.
All right.
And I remember at the time when I was wearing that album out, there was a song on there too, Power Over Me.
Yeah.
I would listen to that song over and over.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such a great song.
Awesome song.
Yeah, that's a tremendous album.
Yeah, very cool. All right. So my last pick is an album and a group that was totally disregarded. Poor record sales. No one paid attention to them. And you're probably going to fight me over the choice of album that I picked.
And this is your number one.
Well, I don't really have them in a particular ranking order.
Gotcha.
I just separated them based on those subcategories.
I see.
So this is one that everyone seemed to disregard.
Yeah.
Although they have great respect in the musician world, and they're kind of cited as an influence in some circles.
Okay.
Belly Button by Jellyfish.
Oh, okay.
Totally overlooked. And I know that Spilt Milk is your choice.
Yeah.
But this is my choice. I love this album.
Well, you're not going to get any argument out of me when you're bringing up Jellyfish. So.
I knew I wouldn't. Yeah. Baby's Coming Back was a single. You did get to see that on MTV some. Yeah. Like at 4 in the morning.
And they did a lot of television shows to promote that album. There's some, some live performances you can see of that on YouTube and stuff. So check.
So they were trying to get out there a little bit, and it just didn't take hold. I think they got a little more recognition with Spilled Milk. Yeah. But yeah, this one it just went over people's heads, I guess.
Yeah. And their image was kind of weird at the time. It was, very throwback, Beatle-esque, looking hippie-fied and all that stuff. And
in 1990, people were like, "What?
What is this?" Yeah, but there's no doubt the music was just incredible.
Yeah, That Is Why is a great song on there that I love. Yep. The Man I Used to Be is the album opener, a very emotional song, and Bed Spring Kiss is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of got that Santana kind of
that mystical played on a sitar kind of. That's what it sounds like. So
it's a good choice.
So that's my last choice right there.
I can't argue with any of those, man. That's strong.
Well, hit me with an honorable mention there, dude.
I've got a few honorable mentions that I'd like to bring up.
Go for it.
Supertramp, Famous Last Words. Not held in a whole lot of esteem from their hardcore fan base. I happen to love it. I think it's a great record. So I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll just rattle these off. Another one was from the late 80s, Survivor, Too Hot to Sleep. Love that album. Mickey Curry came in and played drums. Mickey Curry at the time was showing up in the weirdest places. He was playing. He's Bryan Adams' normal drummer. Before that, he played with Hall & Oates, like during the Private Eyes era, all the way through Adult Education. And then he started showing up because Bob Rock, who produced a lot of these things, just loved him, and so he used him on Cult, Sonic Temple, like Firewoman. He's playing the drums on that, but he played drums on this. It just gave it an extra kick. Cool. Too Hot to Sleep. Another one, Foreigner, Inside Information from '87. I think it's a great record, man.
I had that one on cassette too. That is a fantastic album.
It really is, and in retrospect, I think it's better than people perceive it to be.
And if I had thought of that one, it might have made my list. But yeah, I stand by what I picked. Yeah. But yeah, Say You Will.
Great song.
Great song.
Yeah, there's some really excellent moments on that if you get a chance to check it out.
Yeah.
And then my last choice would be Toad the Wet Sprocket, Coil. I think that was a really good album at the time when they kind of made their departure. Just it had that little extra added edge. It's just a tremendous record all the way through. Another one you can just put on and listen to it from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I've got just like a couple honorable mentions. Sure. And these I kind of put into a category of these artists had one big hit and no one paid attention to the rest of the album. Right. Or the one big hit wore out on people and they didn't want to hear them ever again.
Right, said Fred.
Close. No. So the first pick is one that the rest of the album was just completely disregarded. 1996 Duncan Sheik's self-titled album.
Barely Breathing.
Barely Breathing was the hit. But if you haven't heard Serena from this album.
Great song.
Oh, great song. That one is a goosebump song for me.
I agree.
I love that song. And the rest of the album is beautiful. Beautiful songwriting.
And let me inject this. That album was produced by Rupert Hine, who had worked with Rush on like Roll the Bones and Presto. Yeah. He had done like Saga Records a long time ago. So he was, and I think he passed away a year or two ago. Yeah. Very sad, but an amazing producer. And I love the sound of that.
And he likes pina coladas too. I know it's a different person. I was just making a joke. All right. So, an album from 1997 I want to bring up to. Third Eye Blind's self-titled album, Semi-Charmed Life. It's like they got worn out so much. People like never want to hear Third Eye Blind again. Right. But I'm telling you, go listen to the album again with fresh ears. Semi-Charmed Life was the big hit. How's It Gonna Be, Jumper. If you listen to like alternative rock radio, you probably heard Graduate. Losing a Whole Year as well. But God, the background.
Amazing song.
Amazing song. The whole album really works really well. And I encourage everyone, give it a second listen.
And you know what? I'll add to that. I would say it's kind of along the lines of the way I interpreted this in my list. I would say check out Blue, their second album.
Blue's great too.
Kind of an underrated, underappreciated album, I would say. There's everybody knows the first album for the reasons that you mentioned. But the Blue album has fantastic moments.
It does, So check that one out too, for sure.
Thanks for watching this episode of In a Darkened Room. You can find the link to this episode's companion Spotify playlist in the description. Darren and Chris welcome your comments. You can leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Follow In a Darkened Room on Twitter to receive updates and submit your ideas for what we should discuss in upcoming episodes. Darren and Chris are also on Instagram, so give them a follow there as well. All of these links can be found in the description below. While you're there, be sure to click subscribe and ring the bell.
All right, random topic time, and I think I'll draw from the bowl this time. What do you say?
All right. Let's see what
random topic bowl.
Let me mix it up good. Let me shake it up like the cars. All right, dig deep in there.
All right, here we go.
Draw us out a good one.
All right, let's try this one right here.
All right. What you got?
This one's kind of thin. First music concert.
First music concert. All right. Well, this is easy for me.
Okay.
The first concert that I ever went to, and I'll stand behind this artist. I think he's great to this day.
Uh-oh.
It would have been 1982, I believe, and Ronnie Millsap with my mother.
Hey,
and it was a great show.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic show. One of the things I remember about the show is he made a joke, and you know everybody knows Ronnie Millsap is blind; he can't see.
Yeah,
and so he went to the edge of the stage by himself. Now nobody's around him, nobody's like leading him or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said he made some joke about how he could trust everybody in his band to take good care of him because he knows when he's standing right in the spot he's in, he's got at least another 20 feet. He didn't have to worry about anything. But he was like this close to the edge of the stage.
Wow.
So I thought that was a pretty funny joke.
Wow. Yeah.
so anyway, but it was a great show, had a great time, and it's a great memory.
Very cool. Yeah. So I think my earliest memory is actually with my grandmother. We had season passes to Opryland.
Yeah.
And there was one time, there was a concert going on that you had to buy special tickets for to get into.
Yeah.
And I remember well, it was Dolly Parton.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like Dolly Parton.
I know. Yeah. I've grown.
What's her two biggest hits?
Man, she had two really big ones.
Yeah, they were huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
were they?
Really huge.
Oh, Jolene and I Will Always Love You.
Yeah, that's right.
That's them. So yeah, I remember it was in the Grand Ole Opry House, the new one. Well, I say new one, but it was new at the time. Right at the Opryland theme park, which is now a mall. So yeah, I remember that one. I remember the first one that my dad took me to. It was actually KDS One for the Sun.
Yeah.
Saw Greg Kihn Band, and I saw the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
I never got to see Greg Kihn. I love him.
Yeah, yeah. He actually was in between tour dates.
Yeah.
So when he came to One for the Sun, he just brought him and another person. They did an acoustic set.
Oh, okay.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of different at that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First concert that I bought tickets for myself, went to Sound Shop and stood in line for was In Excess.
Wow.
On their Kick tour.
Great choice.
So yeah, I know that's 3 picks there, but
yeah, so mine would have been David Lee Roth in the Skyscraper Tour, and that particular show at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium was opened by Poison, and I remember them playing. It was before "Open Up and Say I" came out, so they, it's probably the first time I ever heard "Nothing But a Good Time." Not that was any monumental musical moment, but it's an all right song.
Yeah, it's a moment, or a movement.
but I actually had a great time that night. It was a great show, great concert.
Very cool.
Well, and I have one last question regarding this. Did you ever go back in the old days to, because I did and I didn't count this. Did you ever go to the Grand Ole Opry? Did you ever see any shows there?
Oh, quite a few. Yeah. Because
so,
we had the season passes.
Right.
I remember seeing Roy Acuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I can't remember who else.
Tom T. Hall. I remember seeing him.
Yeah. I can't remember who else I saw.
So I saw a lot of those shows before an actual concert of one person. So.
Yeah, exactly right. So,
all right, well, this was fun, man.
Yeah, this was a great discussion. I had fun with this. I actually was looking forward to this one. So we'll be back again with another episode soon, folks. So stay tuned. Take care.
Keep rocking.